Texas narrowly escapes Kansas in their throwback uniforms. Texas soccer takes on Baylor on the road, and Tom Herman wants to right this ship. All that coming up next.
So it's our job as coaches to make sure that mentally they're ready to go.
Cool. Welcome to College Press Box, the most comprehensive sports show on the 40 acres. I'm your host, along with Thomas Fitch, and we have a packed show for you tonight.
That's right, Daniel. In 2016, Kansas did the unthinkable, defeating Texas in a game that sealed the end of Charlie Strong's tenure at Texas. On Saturday, Kansas was looking to do the same thing, embarrass Texas in front of a home crowd and cripple their chances at a Big 12 title. The Longhorns, meanwhile, were looking to rebound from the rivalry loss to OU last weekend. Let's go ahead and head down to DKR for the highlights. In the first quarter, Roschon Johnson getting his first start of his career, making the most of it. Gets the touchdown there. Horns up 7-0. They would score on the next drive, go up 14-0, but Kansas hanging around. There's Puka Williams, 65 yards on this scamper. He would finish with 190 yards on the ground in the game. Second quarter, Kansas gives it back to Puka Williams. Scores his first of second touchdowns. Kansas hanging around, and they trail just 14-10. Sam Ehlinger on third down. He's going to scramble, use his feet. Hasn't used his feet a ton this season, but this game, 14 carries for 91 yards, and he picks up the first down here later on. In the drive, he's going to find number 13, Brennan Eagles, and Eagles going to soar into the end zone. Longhorns lead 21-17 at half. In the second half, though, Kansas doing more than just stick around. Stephon Robinson with a touchdown catch, and Kansas leads 24-21. But DeMarvion Overshown, the rest of Texas defense, getting some pressure there. Headed to the fourth quarter, still close. Roschon Johnson round the corner. Get up, big boy. Gets the first down. Then Sam Ehlinger going to find Devin Duvernay. Duvernay with some space on the edge, and he finds Pater, so the Longhorns lead 31-24. Horns would get the ball back, but Ehlinger, uncharacteristic mistake, just his third interception of the season. Kansas would go ahead and score, but the extra point blocked by Malcolm Roach. Deshaun Jameson going to pick it up. He could say goodnight to that one. So instead of a 31-31 tie game, Texas leads 33-30 as Deshaun Jameson takes it to the house. That would prove to be the difference in this game. Then Sam Ehlinger had 399 yards on the night, and he's going to find number 6 for 6, and Horns lead by 10. But Kansas not going to give up. Carter Stanley going to find Andrew Parchment in the corner for the touchdown there and narrows the deficit. Now Kansas just trailing by 7. Stanley again going to find Robinson for the touchdown, but Les Miles, he doesn't want overtime. He wants the win, goes for 2. Kansas gets it, but Texas drives down the field, and Cameron Dicker, 33 yards, nails it. Dicker, the kicker, does it again. The Horns narrowly escape 50-48.
And now for the first time ever, TSTV's very own field reporter Bailey Wald has more from DKR.
50 years ago, the Texas Longhorns football team went undefeated and won their second national championship ever. Tonight, the Longhorns honored the 1969 team in throwback uniforms, but did not play up to their standards.
We've got to do a better job executing, and we turned the ball over twice in the red zone. So I was really disappointed in that.
Those 2 turnovers came late in the game, and both led to a Kansas touchdown. But in the first half, during back-to-back drives, the offense dealt with 2 more turnovers, both on incomplete fourth downs, giving Kansas their first 2 scores.
We turned the ball over 4 times, so I don't know that that's doing our part.
What can be fixed?
Everything.
It was a pretty calm game here at DKR until the fourth quarter. Texas scored 26 points and Kansas scored 24, but it was the Tuesday practice drill that kept this team alive.
Every Tuesday we have a 2-minute drive just like that to win the game in practice, and we do it over and over again. So it's just trusting your training, going out there and doing what you're trained to do, keep your composure, and just make the play for your team.
The confidence that the Horns had in each other with 1 minute and 11 seconds left was the key to come back from a 2-point deficit.
When they scored that 2-point conversion, everybody on offense, all the players, they were like, hey, this is just like Tuesday practice, let's go.
And they got it done with just enough time.
I was just ready to go out there and do what we do every Tuesday, and so us running these same scenarios every Tuesday allowed me to kind of just feel comfortable out there.
Dicker's game-winning kick is nothing special for the team to watch, but an exciting sight for students and alumni, especially those from the 1969 team hoping for nothing but wins. Bailey Wald, TSTV Sports.
Thanks, Bailey. And I'm joined by Jake Herman to bring more in-depth analysis for us. Thanks for joining us, Jake. To start, Texas narrowly escaped Kansas at home last weekend, even though the Horns were a 21-point favorite. Did Kansas overperform or did they underperform?
Well, those two things you talked about are certainly the ingredients to Kansas pulling a potential upset. And to a certain extent, both things are true. Kansas overperformed a little bit in that they had their best offensive output of the entire season. Remember, this is a Kansas offense that was held to 7 points against Coastal Carolina. They put up just 14 against TCU. They were held to 24 by an FCS team in Indiana State. So Kansas definitely had their best offensive output of the year. They overperformed on Saturday. But I was shocked by how much the Texas run defense underperformed on Saturday. They were gashed again, the second straight week, Daniel, where they given up more than 250 rushing yards. That originally seemed like a strength of this defensive unit, but now it suddenly turned into a glaring weakness at the worst time. And now when you take a look at the big picture of this defense, they're a struggling unit. Texas is allowing the third most yards per game out of any Power 5 school. Fortunately, on Saturday, they were facing a Kansas team that is one of those two teams that are allowing more yards than Kansas. Kansas is allowing the second most yards. The difference in the game on Saturday was definitely the special teams, Daniel. If not for a couple of excellent special teams plays that we saw in those highlights that Thomas just took us through, including that blocked field goal return for an extra point, we could be talking about the biggest upset of the Big 12 in a long time.
Yeah, and you mentioned the special team. Cameron Dicker, the guy who hit the game-winning field goal, was obviously the game changer, because if he doesn't make it, Texas lose. But you mentioned how Texas defense struggles against Kansas. Is that the only thing that Tom Herman needs to worry about going into Fort Worth next weekend?
Well, there's a lot more things that Texas needs to worry about because TCU is a much better team than Kansas in Fort Worth. They destroyed the Kansas Jayhawks 51-14 on their home field just a few weeks ago, and they'll be a dangerous underdog on their home field on Saturday. I'm looking at third downs as a key area that Texas will have to fix up for Saturday's game. On Saturday, neither team could really get a third down stop between the Longhorns and the Jayhawks, but next week, Texas is going to have some trends to try and reverse when they take on TCU. TCU is a top 15 third down offense. They convert 48% of the time. And the Texas defense, they're ranked in the bottom half of the Power 5 when it comes to third down defense. They're letting opponents convert at a whopping 41%. So while Kansas, they're dead last in that regard, TCU, they're in the top 20, so things won't come as easy for Texas. Third downs are definitely going to be an area of focus. The other thing I would say is discipline. Texas has had a bit of a penalty problem through their first 7 games. They've committed 51 penalties. That puts them 90th in college football. And this is something that coaching can solve. Even though you have a lot of young players on the field in the secondary, Tom Herman and his staff have to get those penalties cleaned up.
And yeah, and the AP poll agrees with you. Texas stayed at number 15 in the latest poll, but Baylor jumped Texas. Baylor is 7-0, and they're at number 14, making them the highest-ranked team in the Lone Star State. So do you agree with the AP voters?
Well, Baylor and Texas, I'm glad you brought that up because they present a really interesting dilemma for the voters. Texas has 2 losses and Baylor has none, but Texas has faced much tougher competition in the form of Oklahoma and LSU. And if you thought Texas looked a little bit ordinary against Kansas on Saturday, Baylor's looked ordinary against almost everyone, even Rice. Yes, Rice. Texas fans might not even remember that game because the Longhorns were on cruise control throughout. Baylor, they struggled their way to a 21-13 win. And that's kind of a microcosm of Baylor's season. They haven't really played a complete game, but they found ways to escape with the W, in some cases with some controversy, as there was in their game against Texas Tech. But the bottom line is this. Baylor is a perfect 7-0 and a perfect 4-0 in the Big 12. So I can see where the voters are coming from in giving Baylor a slight edge over Texas in the poll, even though I think Texas matches up very well against Baylor and would beat them on a neutral field. But with that said, even though Baylor should be ahead of Texas, I think what the AP voters got wrong was putting Utah into the 12th spot this week. Given the eye test, Utah has not looked like the 12th best team in the country at all, nor do they have the 12th best resume. I don't think there's any way that Utah could hang with teams like LSU and Oklahoma that Texas played very close. In fact, Utah has not even gone undefeated in a very weak Pac-12 conference. They lost to USC, who was playing a third-string quarterback. That's a 3-loss USC team. So given all those factors, I just can't quite wrap my head around Utah being ranked this high up before they face the only legitimate playoff contender in their conference, that being Oregon. But hey, that's why we play the games. Only time will tell if these rankings are truly accurate. So it'll be interesting to see how these 3-team seasons evolve going forward.
Great job, Jake. Always love having you on. After the break, we head to Waco for the I-35 matchup between Texas Soccer and Baylor. All that coming up next. Welcome back to College Press Box. Following the loss to the Oklahoma State Cowgirls on the 11th, Texas Soccer looks to bounce back and stay in the hunt for the regular season championship against Baylor on Friday. Let's head to Waco for the highlights. Texas faces Baylor for the first time this season. Early in the first half, Cameron Brooks crosses and chaos ensues in the box, but Haley Burke almost connects and ball goes out of bounds. Score stays 0-0. Sarah Henson tries a long ranger, but stopped by Jennifer Wand of Baylor. And Cameron Brooks on the left wing once again all by herself, crosses it in. Haley Burke connects it this time, and Texas goes up 1-0. That's Haley Burke's 7th goal of this season. We go into second half, 5 minutes into it, and Julia Garoso beats a defender, crosses it in. Cameron Brooks finishes, and Texas up 2-0. First goal for Cameron Brooks. Baylor does not stay behind though. Corner kick in chaos. Ball goes into the box, into the goal. Baylor cuts the lead in half, and Texas still hangs on to the lead at the end of the game. They leave Waco with a 2-1 win over Baylor.
I'm now joined by our soccer analyst, Henry Corwin. And Henry, the team now sits at 9-6 on the season. They're 4-2 in conference. But with just 3 games remaining in the regular season, how would you rate this team's performance so far?
Well, so far I would say that Texas has kind of had a back and forth season. Every win or losing streak has always lasted at least 2 games. They go on hot streaks, sometimes 3 or 4 wins in a row, like they had a streak between the 22nd of September and October 3rd where they won Grambling State, Kansas State, and TCU. But they've also had 3 separate occasions where they've lost 2 games in a row. So overall, it has not been a very consistent season, but just looking at their overall record, 9-6 and 4-2 in conference, I think up to this point it's fair to say it's been a relatively strong season, just given those records and standings.
Yeah, they have struggled through ups and downs, but they did get the big win against Baylor over the weekend. And when you look at this team kind of at the season as a whole, but also specifically at the Baylor game this past weekend, what would you say are the team's strengths and the weaknesses?
Well, just this last game against Baylor, it was pretty even across the board. If you look at shots on goal, saves, and corners, Texas didn't really have a supreme advantage or disadvantage in any of the categories. But for the whole season, one of their big strengths has definitely been their goalie, Nicole Curry. She was named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year earlier this month, or Defensive Player of the Week, excuse me, earlier this month, and she's had that honor 3 times before as well. Another strength they have is their assists. They're second in the Big 12 Conference in assists, so they play well together once they kind of get towards the opposing side of the field at the end of the goal. However, at the same time, one of their weaknesses is their corners. They're second to last in the Big 12 in the corner kicks. So despite the fact that they have good chemistry kind of towards the other end of the field, they still need to kind of figure out a way to dominate that side of the field more and be in good field position, because whoever wins that corners battle is dominating that side of the field. So they kind of need to figure out a way to gain better field position.
Yeah, you bring up corners. That certainly has been a struggle for the Horns. And we mentioned it earlier, but Texas nearing the end of the regular season, just 3 games remaining before postseason play with the Big 12 tournament starting. So in your opinion, does this team have the potential to show any kind of success this year? And in your opinion, what is that success that Texas could show?
Well, the potential is definitely there. I mean, we've seen it. They've had big wins against the likes of Kansas and TCU, but they've also lost some important ones against teams like Oklahoma State and West Virginia. So they have the talent. They just need to find more consistency. Instead of winning a few and losing a few, they kind of need to find a way to bounce back from losses with a win instead of another loss, because if they keep doing these 4 for 3, 3 for 2 win-lose trades, they're going to end up with an okay season, but not certainly the success they're looking for. But if they can figure out a way to kind of sew up these holes that they have, I mean, they're looking at potentially being Big 12 champions, and that's obviously what their ultimate goal is.
Yeah, that is the goal. We'll see what happens. But Henry, thanks for joining us and for your analysis. When we return, Robert Trevino is going to be recapping the winners and the losers of Week 7 in the NFL. Stick around. Welcome back into College Press Box. Thanks again for joining us on your Monday night. We're nearly halfway done, or well over halfway done with the college football season, and all sorts of storylines are starting to take place as teams make the final push towards conference championship games. For more on this week's college football matchups, let's toss it to Robert Trevino, who has more.
Thanks, Thomas. There was plenty of excitement this Saturday in Austin, maybe more than Longhorn fans bargained for, but there was also plenty of other excitement across the rest of the college football landscape. Let's check out the top games off the 40 acres from this weekend. First, we go to Williams-Brice Stadium in South Carolina. Flea flicker from Ryan Helinski is going to be complete to Brian Edwards, 41 yards to the 26. Few plays later, that's Mon Denson, his second TD of the year. South Carolina strikes first. Second play of the third quarter, Kyle Trask, not sure what he was looking at, intercepted by Jamie Robinson, who dances around for 15 seconds, finally returns it to the Florida 20. Third and 11, couple plays later, Helinski's going to hand the draw off to Tavian Feaster, who goes 21 yards on the score. Official upset alert here for Florida at this 11 a.m. game. Crowd going crazy here at Williams-Brice. Now, Damian Pierce, how do you answer that? You go 75 yards in one play on the next play from scrimmage. He could go all. You know the rest. Chris Berman call right there. But Florida strikes right back, 17 all. Now, Trask is going to find on 4th and 3. Kyle Pitts across the field, 9 yards, converts that big 4th down, and on the very next play, looks at a wheel route. Who is that? That's Freddie Swain. Look at this catch right here. Somehow gets those last 5 yards all in the air. Florida goes up 24-20. Now Zachary Carter for Florida forces the fumble on Helinski. Florida gets it, and that would pretty much seal the game for the Gators after Trask on this play, 1st and goal. Guess who he's going to find again? That's Kyle Pitts. Florida would go on to win 38-27. And we go now to Norman, Oklahoma. This occurred during the game itself after an Oklahoma touchdown. Sooner Schooner tipping over there. Good to note, everybody was okay, including the horses. But the Sooners continued to roll despite their schooner falling out. Here's Jalen Hurts. He's going to find Jeremiah Hall for 20 yards on the score. Hurts, 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards. Had a passer rating of 308.5. I heard that's pretty good. Speaking of pretty good, here's Kennedy Brooks. He's going to find the end zone from 9 yards out. He's been averaging 8.5 yards a carry this season. That's second in the country. And just to add insult to injury, punt blocked here by the Sooners. That's Austin Stogner recovering in the end zone. Oklahoma goes on to win 52-14. And here's the one everybody's been wanting to talk about here in Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. Jack Cohn completing it to Jake Ferguson, 18-yard score. This looks like any other Wisconsin game you've been watching. 7-0 Wisconsin early on. They've been dominating opponents. Brandon Peters, Illini quarterback, jumps it off to Donnie Navarro for a 48-yard touchdown. 10-7. Illinois says, hey, maybe we showed up to play. Maybe this isn't going to be just a straight route. Peters finding Josh Eatmayor-Bebe. Fumbles, though. Wisconsin picking it up and recovering it all the way down to the Illini 15. And Jonathan Taylor, listen, he's had his 15th TD rush of the year that you just saw. Tied for first in the country with Chuba Hubbard. He'll make you pay. Wisconsin up 20-7. And on this play, Illini starting to get something going. Daniel Barker on a 3rd and 3, 19 yards. And now Peters is going to take that designed run 11 yards into Wisconsin territory. And now, what do you follow that up with? Well, you find Reggie Corbin, and he goes untouched all the way into the Wisconsin end zone. Illinois officially in this one now, 20-14. However, Wisconsin would get the ball and a field goal. Jonathan Taylor up 9 in the Illini red zone. Fumble, that's something he never does. That's picked up by the Illini. They're back in this one. That's Isaiah Gay on that recovery. And now Peters is going to find Eatmayor-Bebe for a 29-yard TD. It's a 2-point game. Illinois huge. Jack Cohn, he's going to find not his own teammate. That's Tony Adams. His second interception of the year could not have come at a worse time for Wisconsin. Jack Cohn, did not see him right over the middle. There's Coach Lovie Smith. He's fired up. And Peters is going to find Barker for 9 yards on a first down. The Illini would run down the clock and push it further up. And another hero with a leg this week. James McCourt nails it from 39, and the Illini's first win over a top 10 Big Ten team since 2007. That's it for Unhooked. Let's send it back over to Thomas.
Thanks, Robert. When we return, Justin Morris takes us down to the ice where the Texas Longhorns club hockey team faced off against rivals, the Texas A&M Aggies in Austin this past Friday night. Stick around.
For the last time tonight, welcome back to College Press Box. The Longhorns and the Aggies may have stopped playing each other on the gridiron, but the two schools still compete in the rink. TSTV Game Day broadcasted the club hockey contest between Texas and Texas A&M last Friday. But just in case you missed it, it's Justin Morris at the Chaparral Ice to keep you updated.
Playing under the Friday night lights is a phrase usually reserved for football. In North Austin, that's not quite the case. Tucked away right where urban life meets the suburbs lies Chaparral Ice.
It's kind of one of the only options in town, but it's kind of like the scrappy hometown rink you kind of root for. So
Chaparral is the home of the University of Texas club hockey team, and on this Friday night, a revitalization of the Lone Star Showdown comes to town as the Longhorns face off against the Texas A&M Aggies.
A little bit of rivalry, a little bit of college hockey,
While the game is forgotten on turf, it is alive as ever on the ice. The matchup between the rivals is a big draw for fans far and wide.
I came from College Station.
We're from Dallas. We came down from Pennsylvania. I'm from Florida, but I know about the rivalry. It's not as big of a deal as it was, but I think it goes deep.
As for the players, they know the rivalry runs deep and are not afraid to show it. The game looked bleak for the Longhorns early on, with the first Aggie goal coming 10 seconds into the game. Texas A&M held a 4-0 lead at the end of the second period. Texas players and fans never lost hope.
Have you seen the boys warming up? You hear the halftime speech? I can hear it from the locker room right here. I know you can't pick it up on the microphone, but I'm hearing motivation and a straight desire to win. It's all I hear.
Texas is coming. Second, third period, overtime, whatever we have to do, we're here. We're there. It's going to happen. Let's go, Texas!
The Longhorns fed off the vibrant crowd, scoring 3 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game. While the Longhorns did fall short, the game proved that this rivalry is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, it's always fun. I mean, whether it's here with these two teams or back in College Station, it's always a pretty rowdy crowd. The crowd gets into it, and it drives both teams, whether it's the Longhorn crowd or the Aggie crowd. It's nice to have the support.
Just so many people, especially cheering for us. At A&M, I know they have a lot of guys cheering for them, so if we have the same thing here, it really helps us out.
To check out more about the team, visit TexasIceHockey.com. From Chaparral Ice, this is Justin Morris, TSTV Sports.
This afternoon, Tom Herman met with the press to talk about the upcoming game this weekend against TCU in Fort Worth.
That's why you recruit the way you do, because you're going to be, forced to play young guys, and those young guys better be talented enough to go out there and win games for you and perform to the level, again, that we talked about, the standard that is set at the University of Texas. So, that's why recruiting is so important.
The number 4 Texas volleyball faced the West Virginia Mountaineers on Saturday after coming off a bye. The Longhorns would sweep the Mountaineers behind Skylar Field's 13-kill and 8-block performance. Texas as a team outblocked the Mountaineers 23-10 as the Horns stay undefeated in Big 12 play. Texas will host number 1 Baylor on Wednesday for a top 4 matchup, and fans attending the game are encouraged to wear pink to support breast cancer awareness.
Texas baseball officially unveiled its new 22,000 square foot J. Dan Brown Family Player Development Center at the UFCU Dish Falk Field with a ribbon-cutting ceremony on Saturday. The 2-story facility features a new weight room, nutrition center, batting cages, bullpen, alumni locker room, and office space.
Number 18 Texas men's golf is competing in Windermere, Florida at the Tavistock Collegiate. after day one on Sunday, Texas sits at 6th place out of 11 teams. Sophomore Parker Cootie led the Horns with a 2 under par performance. Cole Hammer, though, struggled in the front 9, hitting 5 over par, but regrouped in the back 9 to finish 2 over par. The Tavistock Collegiate will conclude tomorrow, and the Horns will head to Atlanta next week for the East Lake Cup.
The University of Texas women's tennis freshman Lexi Ringler defeated number 28 Katya Townsend of Texas A&M 6-4, 6-3 on Sunday to advance to the singles championship match at the ITA Texas Regionals. Ringler, who has not dropped a set in her first 5 singles matches at the ITA Regionals, faced off against Texas A&M's Lucia Quiterio in the finals today. The final results are still pending.
The 2019-2020 NBA regular season will start tomorrow, and this year, 11 former players start in the NBA rosters. The Brooklyn Nets and the Orlando Magic are the 2 teams that feature 2 former Longhorns in their rosters each. With Jackson Hayes becoming the 8th overall pick in the 2019 draft, along with Mo Bamba picked 6th overall in the 2018 draft, the Texas men's basketball program joins Duke and Kentucky to have a lottery pick in each of the last 2 years. It's probably time to renew Shaka Smart's contract.
This week in Longhorn sports, on Wednesday, the game everybody's talking about, number 4 Texas taking on number 1 Baylor. That'll be 7 o'clock on Longhorn Network. Thursday, soccer will be home against Iowa State. That also 7 o'clock on Longhorn Network. Friday, men's tennis will be competing at the ITA Regional Championships. Saturday, volleyball travel up to Lawrence, Kansas to take on the Jayhawks. That'll be at 1 p.m. And Texas football will head to Fort Worth, where they'll be taking on the TCU Horned Frogs. That'll be 2:30 on Fox.
And that's it for this week's College Press Box. Don't forget to tune into our sister show, College Crossfire, with host Turner Barnes on Wednesday at 9 p.m. and our brand new 1-0 Sports Show on Friday at 8 a.m. with Robert Trevino and this guy, Thomas Fitch. This Friday at 11 a.m. will be our first edition of Texas Countdown to get you all caught up for your college football Saturday. And that's it, I promise, for all of the TSTV sports promotion. We hope you enjoyed your Monday night with us. And from everyone in studio and Master Control, this is Daniel Shih along with Thomas Fitch. Have a great week.